Tamara Lukasheva is a Ukrainian jazz composer born in 1988 in Odessa, the Soviet Union. How was your childhood in the Soviet Union, which was falling apart, and in the independent Ukraine?
I don't really remember the Soviet Union time because when it fell apart, I was 3. So I remember myself growing up in already independent Ukraine. And I think this is the difference between me and my colleagues that are at least 10 years older than me and over 10 years older than me, because they have another memories and also I guess they think different. So I grew up in Ukraine, and I always saw myself as Ukrainian, as a citizen of this country, and the whole other countries, like for example Russia or Belarus, they were like different countries for me.
How had the cultural life, especially the jazz, developed in Odessa, as of this city is one of the main cultural hubs, melting Ukrainian, Russian, Jewish, Moldovan and other cultural elements in its very high-level cultural life?
Yeah, I'm not a historian of jazz in this region. But what I know, it started already in 1920s with Utosov and his jazz bands, and there were different kinds of music that were played, and there were a couple of jazz musicians from Odessa that have been recorded at Melodia. That was the biggest vinyl firma in the whole Soviet, and there were a few places where you could hear jazz, where you could play jazz music. I grew up with a big and amazing festival, Odessa Jazz Fest, which included so many different artists from Europe and United States and Asia and all over the world. That was incredible. This was so good, and I feel that it gave me some good energy and push to do my stuff.
After Odessa, you studied and lived in Donetsk. How was the situation in that time? How was the music school there, the Prokofiev Music Academy? And how was generally the life in Donetsk when you studied there and lived there?
I must say I've been studying there for 3 years, but I was not like living in this city. I was coming and making the exams and then go back to Odessa. So I was not permanently living in Donetsk. But I can remember that it was a very nice city, with clean roads, with flowers, with very nice people, and I had such great times there, and I met so many dear friends that I still know today. Some of them come from Mariupol, sadly well known nowadays. Yeah, that was so peaceful, and that was so, I mean, that was friendly. That was just one of those very nice, sunny and good cities in Ukraine that you have, like, they have their normal life. There was nothing strange in this city at the time when I was there.
In Odessa, during your childhood and raising up and later as an adult, how was your language usage? Were you rather speaking, and your surroundings, rather speaking Russian or Ukrainian or mixing both? Or how was it in the everyday life? Because it's a very interesting question of using the language,
Yeah.
Russian
Yeah.
or Ukrainian or
Yeah.
both in the everyday life?
Yes, yes, yes. I grew up in a space where everybody spoke Russian, and it was a strange thing because if you were speaking Ukrainian, you were not cool enough. That was really strange, and I guess that was something that we had from Soviet times, that Ukrainian culture and Ukrainian language and Ukrainian music and Ukrainian art was not good enough. That was like, you know, not worth to, you know, to work with it or to take care about it or to learn it. So, but I learned also Ukrainian in school, and it was always there somehow for me, because even before the Maidan, I came 2010 to Germany, and I started to write music in Ukrainian language. That is so strange because I don't know where it comes from. This is kind of a mystery for me.
You live currently in Germany. How could you integrate yourself into the German artist scene?
Well, I was open for any kind of influences that can come. I was really very open-minded and extremely curious about what is happening here. I was lucky. I was really lucky with people who I met, because they were very, very nice and they were so kind to me. They didn't push me somewhere. They just gave me free space. So I could create things on my own. And I started doing my thing. And the good thing in the city where I live still, it's Cologne, is that this city allows you to be the way you are, or to allow you to be the way you want to be. So with my band, I almost immediately started composing my own music, making my first tryouts, and they were really supporting me. So this is what I can say. I mean, the German jazz scene is very open-minded.
How could you describe the Ukrainian jazz scene?
Ukrainian jazz scene nowadays has a lot of ethno influences, folklore music, which is very cool, I think, on one hand, because this is the beginning of your identification. You start, you know, searching what is yours and not somebody's. But it's also there are enough musicians that play very straight ahead, like real jazz, and they can do it really well. And also, there are a lot of people who try to do their own music, to compose, to try, you know, new stuff. And I see this new kind of creativity which is coming slowly, and I really like what I see. There is still things to do, but it's about the process. It's not about the result immediately.
At your concert, one of the songs was written about the effects of the current war in the Ukraine. Could you describe the story of your song, what you composed about the things, what happened in Odessa?
Yeah. It was almost 1 year ago. It was Easter, and the Russian bomb flew into the house and killed a family. It killed a little baby called Kira. She was 3 months old, her mother and her grandmother. And there were also another people from another flat that were killed by this bomb. I mean, that was not the first time, and and unfortunately not last time when things like that happened. But the thing is that if you just see the numbers, it's very abstract. And with this baby, on the next day when it happened, the whole social media, which I could see, was full with the photos of this baby. And it was a beautiful, beautiful girl with big blue eyes, and she was like looking at the camera, and she was so open, she was like an angel. And you could see that this child was killed, and there is no reason why it happened, which can somehow explain why why things like this happen. And I felt that, I mean, that was already the third month of the war, but I felt that I'm really falling down, and it hurt so much. And then I discovered a poem of Tonya Kornita. This is a Ukrainian poetry maker, and she wrote a poem about this situation, about this girl, and about exactly these two opposites, because the Eastern is a very important holiday celebration of light, and then comes the death, very close, in the same moment. So I found this poem, and then I thought that I feel like there is some music in it, and I feel like I cannot just stay here, and it's not like I will, there is something that wants to go out. And I composed this tune almost over the night, and I've started to play this composition during my concerts, and explain the story behind it, and now it's a very important message for me.
You live in Germany, but your family members still in the Ukraine. Mm-hmm. How is the current situation affecting you?
Sometimes it's very complicated, because I have a feeling that I kind of trying to enjoy the life as much as possible, but it's almost not possible, because if there are a few days where I'm trying to relax myself and not read news, something happens which really cut me off. And but on the other hand, you know, you got used to the things. And for example, now while we are talking, there's a Luftalarm, so it's air alarm in Odessa, and I see it on my phone. I see it every time on my phone when it starts and when it's over. And sometimes I wake up in the morning and I see that there was air alarm in the night, and this is very often, like 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours of air alarm. So this is just my life, and I try just to hope. I hope every time that it will be okay. It will be okay. Nothing I can do.
What are your plans for the near future, as an artist and as a private person?
Yeah, there's these kind of things, they come together as an artist and private person. I think that I have my different projects that I want to develop. Like this trio, for example, and there's a few collaborations I'm really looking for. And I want to write new music. I want to do more. I want to do more stuff, and I don't know. We'll see.